Mr. I'm not even supposed to be here today story. Story 1 was working retail. Had 2 weeks left till school started again, and I was quitting. This lady let her kid on the floor in a clothing rack. My manager approached me and told me the situation and said I was to clean up. I responded with, I have 4 days left here. I will quit right now. You don't pay me enough for that. She laughed and said she figured I'd say something like that. Then we both laughed. Then she said she'd find somebody who actually needed the job to do it. Story 2, I have briefly mentioned this on here before, but I was almost sold into a ring as an infant. I was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where my biological parents basically listed me on the black market, intending to sell me for profit. Much to my fortune, a group that posed as buyers on the black market, but was actually an adoption agency, or at least worked closely with one arranged to buy me, then proceeded to literally steal me in a van and spirit me away to Rio. There, I was kept safe, and at 9 months of age, a wonderful young couple from Pennsylvania flew down to meet me and take me home forever. I'm now living a fantastic life that was gifted to me against unimaginable odds, and am thankful for it every day, and am thankful to those who made it possible, whoever they may be. They must have had hearts of gold and boundless courage to enter dangerous situations like that, to help the helpless and innocent children like myself. Story 3, working in a thrift store, covering another manager's shift so she could take her birthday off. Right after I clock in, I see a woman stuffing her purse with used bras and panties, and then try to make a run for the door. I get as far as saying, "Excuse me, ma'am," before she screams and upends her XL Taco Bell cup full of Mountain Dew live wire over my head. She runs into the street, and everyone in the store stares at me while I'm dripping in orange bullshit. Got to work the next 8 hours with sticky, citrus-scented hair. Story 4 reluctantly was taking a trip to Hartford, Connecticut one weekend, and on the way caught a flat tire. Friend drives a Lexus, which requires a custom key to remove the tire. Did not have the key and had to be towed to an auto shop to have the wheel busted off. Whole process takes about 5 hours, and we're hungry and cranky, so we decide to stop off at a random bar we saw on Yelp, and we head straight there. Walk in, and the owner is crazy excited, like running around the bar excited to see us. Insists we sit at the bar with him, and he tells us we're his first lunch customers ever. Serves us super great food. Stay for a while for some drinks with him, and have a good time. Later, a few girls walk in, and he's only slightly less excited to see them. This dude had crazy energy, have a good time for the rest of the night there, and end up dating one of the girls we met that night for 3 or 4 months. Really an enjoyable time at a bar. It was called the Clydesdale Pub. Not actually in Hartford, but it's close in Port Chester, New York. Definitely recommend checking it out if you're in the R. He was serving what he called Brazilian dumplings at the time that were just amazing. Story 5, not me, but as I'm getting dressed for work, a coworker messages me to ask if we can switch stations. I was station A, he was station B. In my mind, the stations were about the same, but people usually prefer station A. I say that's fine and go to station B. I proceed to get 0 calls. He was busy the entire shift, including a guy that went into cardiac arrest while driving and hit another car in a tree, and the initial dispatch reported the passenger as being unconscious as well. I heard all on the radio. He texted me later in the night, like, "I'm never swapping with you again, TLDR. Coworker tried to swap for the better station and got screwed. Story 6, I'm a teacher. I was sick and thought I could make it through a school day, but I was miserable. I went to the office to arrange a sub. On the way back to my room to get my car keys, I saw 2 students loitering outside the library. I tried to keep my head down and my ears closed, but as I walked by, one said to the other, "Man, I'm going to murder that kid with his pencil when I see him." He could have said just about anything else, and I'd have kept walking, alas. Story 7, missed my flight off Kauai and got on the next flight to Oahu. Flight was 20 minutes. Takeoff was fine, and we were ascending normally, until the plane jolted with such severity. As I rose out of my seat, I saw a flight attendant hit their head on the ceiling. People started screaming. The plane was tossed up and down and whipped side to side. I grabbed the arms to my chair like it was a jetpack and held on for my life. This continued for minutes. All I could think was, this is how I die. I'm not even supposed to be on this flight. What a terrible way to end this vacation. Eventually, it stopped, and the pilot came on over the intercom and apologized for the turbulence, and told us the drink service would be suspended. Don't care about the juice at this point, buddy. Get this plane on the ground, a word. Story 8, I had a free period my senior year of high school, so I decided to sit in an English class that a few of my friends were in. After a few days, I got yelled at and was told to move my desk next to the teacher's desk. Obviously, this was not going to fly, so I stood up and said I'm not even in this class and walked out. Story 9, worked in fast food. Anyways, this one night, it was crazy busy, and some people had called in. I wanted to check my schedule, but noticed the massive lines. The one super chill manager looks at me and motions for me to come to the back, and she tells me that if any of the other managers catches me, I'm stuck there all night Friday night. I just wanted to go out and drink, so she literally grabs me by the collar and drags me out the back door and closes it behind me. Best boss ever. Story 10, I was in the Coast Guard and I had to cover for someone on my day off. Well, the night before was my friend's last day in, so we threw down and partied. Normally when you stand by for someone, it's common courtesy from the other crew to basically give you the day off, unless you're really needed. So I said it. Well, I'm hung over on the rec deck, trying not to die, and a pipe goes through that a body had been reported, and they called the crew to make preps and put me on there. Turned out to be for bloated bodies that had been gotten by sharks and other fish. Worst smell Eve ever smelled. Got back to station and had to throw away the uniform I was wearing. That sucked, but not as much as CISM afterwards. When I was a senior in high school, I took a sick day because I wanted to, not because I was sick. A woman walked into my house, pooped on my dining room table, wiped it on our walls, and then left, not joking. I didn't want my parents to know I had not gone to school or had and left the doors unlocked. So I spent 2 hours scrubbing and disposing of the evidence, and then showering and scalding hot water for an hour. Story 11, got fired while on paid vacation, leave to spend the weekend celebrating my 21st birthday. I get home from the bar around 3 a.m., wake up at 4 a.m. because my phone is ringing. Conversation goes like this. Hello, drunkie, it's boss. We need you to come in at 6 to help open. No one else will do it, boss. I just got home from the bar. I'm still drunk. Just until 9. I just need you until 9. I'm drunk. It's my birthday weekend. I asked off months ago. But no one else will come in. I am drunk and on vacation. Please, drunkie. Please. Oh my God, for sake, just till 9. Just until 9, fine. I'll get up and take a shower and call a cab. Thank you. See you at 6. I open the bakery department, and as an added surprise, the coffee bar, which I was not trained to do, and work both departments alone for 2 hours serving customers. 9 rolls around. Boss calls me into the back office as I'm clocking out and fires me on the spot for being at work smelling like vodka, and asked me to clean out my locker. Looking back, I was supposed to get my annual raise 4 days later, and she knew I'd be drunk. She set me up to work 3 hours so she didn't have to give me a raise. Edit, I don't know how many times I can say it. My phone was on in case there was an emergency. I did not look at my caller ID because I was drunk and half asleep. Story 12, I had one very recently. I was in work doing very little, like full screen games little, and my boss walked up to us. He asked if I could go cover the IT help desk as someone had gone home sick. It's not my job. I'm a server admin, but I'm still in internal IT, and I couldn't really say no because I was playing games at work. Oh God, the amount of grief I got from people. My whole day was spent saying I don't know how to do that. And not even supposed to be here today. Most people were fine. A few thought I was new, but there were some real arseholes. I don't know how those help desk guys do it. It's hard work, and you meet some real idiots. Even thought it's a huge IT company. Story 13, I got called into work one day back when I was working customer service. The girl that had been working that day was in a car crash on the way into work, so I wasn't upset about coming in, just worried for her. Anyway, not 5 minutes after I arrived and clocked in, a lady who looked homeless and absolutely reeked of body odor came in. I worked at a members-only wholesale store, so you had to pay a $45 flat fee before you could purchase a single item from the store. This lady came in, wandered around for a minute or two, and then made her way to my counter. Thus started the most bizarre exchange I think I've ever had at a retail store. Her, do you sell animals? Me, no, this is a wholesale store. Her, y'all don't sell chickens. What about just chicks? Me, nope. Neither of those. We do sell eggs, but they're unfertilized. Her, well, do you sell cabbage and hot dogs? Me, you bet. Do you have a membership? We'll be glad to set you up and get you ready to shop. Her, oh no, I couldn't possibly. I gotta save my bucks for chickens and hot dogs. Can't have one without the other, or the cabbage. You'll try Walmart, I guess. You think they have chickens there? They probably do. We'll go there. And she ambled away while still talking, clearly no longer talking to me, and left the store. I'll never forget that crazy lady and the way she had lipstick smeared all around her mouth. Also, the girl who got in a wreck was fine, but received a broken arm and a new car from the other driver's insurance for the trouble. Edit, she did not get the broken arm from the insurance company, but rather from the accident. Keeping it there because hilarious. Story 14, when I was in middle school, my mom went to work before I woke up, so I always got myself to school alone. On this particular rainy, windy day, I decided to accidentally sleep in until 11 a.m. I lived in northern Colorado where there are hardly any tornadoes, but when I turned on the TV, there was a serious tornado warning for my exact area. We lived in a tiny apartment on the 3rd floor, and all the neighbors were kind of sketchy, so I was alone and panicking, just wishing I'd gone to school. By then, the weather was too severe to walk the mile to my school, so I hid in the bathroom and accepted my fate, and eventually the weather cleared up. Story 15, Georgia State Pen, was hospitalized over my court date. Social workers took care of it supposedly, got back to work Air Force, and had a bench worn out for me. Told me to show up at Georgia State Pen at 5 a.m. Thinking I was getting a new court date. Nope, got a roommate in cell block D. Didn't get to talk to a lawyer till next day. After a brief conversation, I was released by the warden, and that's how I learned not to drive like in, but at least I can say I've been to prison not on my record. Story 16 came in on my day off because someone called out, got rewarded with the hands-down worst bite of my 5 years as a groomer. For deep punctures, 2 ended up accessing, and I got a bone infection despite immediate treatment and antibiotics. The constant bandage changes ended up ripping bits of my skin off, so I have scars not just from the bite, but also the bandaging. Story 17, I was cast in a play, quit, and then blackmailed into coming back and doing the show by the crazy choreographer. Found out years later the director had no clue, and he apologized to me. The night I came in for my first force rehearsal, I saw a drunk guy get hit and killed by a car outside the rehearsal space. Story 18, I went to the church one day to teach 2 organ lessons. The pastor came in and said he had received phone calls that the church bells had not tolled the noon hour, and he wanted to know why. I told him that the sexton had not shown up and that normally I would not have been there except to teach. Turns out the sexton was home, sleeping off a hangover, instead of on the job, doing his duties. Story 19, stopped by a friend's house. Turns out that was the day the police decided to come and arrest him, search his house. I was on my way out the door when they arrived. Story 20, coworker's granddad died. I was supposed to be on holiday, but ended up covering her shift. Got there and was informed I needed to fire someone. Well, not exactly. They weren't on high enough warnings yet. I had to convince her to quit. Note, I had properly fired her boyfriend 2 months prior for an unrelated reason. After that's done, an ex-staff member sent me a load of messages that they hadn't gotten a leaving card gift. I explained that they had given away their last shifts, meaning we didn't have time to organize anything. And B, it has never been one of my jobs to organize leaving cards gift. There were 2 other people assigned to the job. Finally, C, I had bought another coworker a leaving gift with my own money, on my own time. Nothing to do with work. Also, a kid chundered everywhere, 11-hour shift in my holiday time. Never again. Story 21, was working night security at a hotel at the time. My coworker in relief got bit by a spider and had necrosis, so I was called in while he was rushed to the ER. An hour into my shift, the entire half of the town lost power, including the hotel. It was the middle of summer and 100-degree plus weather, and at night it reached upper 80 degrees if you were lucky. The hotel was 100 full, and the parking lot was pitch black. During this time, some dudes on bikes decided to come around and try to break into some cars. I had to chase them off. One of them got brave and tried to fight me, and I had to tase him. His friends carried him off. I walked circles around the hotel for 5 hours before power came back. I wasn't even supposed to be there that week. Story 22, this is long, but bear with me. I offered to cover on a day I didn't normally work, so my coworker could spend some time with her family across the state. It was also the day we were training a new girl. I walk in, and the one other coworker there starts filling me in on the day before. Apparently, the new hire was all over the map and kept going to the bathroom for 20 to 30 minutes at a time, multiple times over a 6-hour shift. It was a doctor's office, and we opened for the day half day. So opening at 1, and she's not here, not exactly the best impression when you're still training. Half an hour goes by, and she says she's walking there and starts rambling. She lives literally a block and a half from the office. So, I don't know what she's talking about. My coworker pulled her aside and said she can't keep taking super long breaks unless she has medical problems or stomach issues. She gets it, completely understands, and apologizes. Then she takes off her blazer and reveals the worst outfit I've ever seen for work. It was a romper that somehow showed off her and her chest at the same time, while also looking dirty like she found it on the floor. She's talking like crazy and won't be quiet or focus on anything. Highlights during the few hours she was there: stroked a patient's cheek and thigh because she wanted to see if her leggings felt as soft as they looked, flirted with a man that was 70 and married, and when he didn't respond, physically grabbed him and tried to force herself on him. Said she needed to get something from her boyfriend real quick. Parked in our back lot for 30 minutes where no one could see her. When she came back from her parking lot escapades, her entire personality was mellow and dropping until she just stopped functioning. She stared catatonically at the computer screen for 40 minutes while we discussed what to do about it. Ended up making up an excuse and having the doctors tell her to leave. As she left, she went to go say goodbye to one of the docs and was slurring her words, and for some reason, at 5:30 in the evening, told him bye, have good mornings, and then left. She then called me multiple times at the office sobbing because she was fired. It was uncomfortable, and I wasn't even supposed to be the one working that day. TLDR, filled in and ended up training a girl who was high out of her mind, did not have good mornings after that. Story 23, at the end of my senior year, I went to the athletic honor roll banquet with the girl I was dating. As one of my +2s, my dad brought us because he wanted to be there to show his pride in me. The senior honor roll list comes and goes. My name never was called. When the junior list went through, my girlfriend's name was called. Much to our surprise, I was proud of her. She was really excited too, because she wasn't normally an honor roll student. So basically me and my dad ended up being her +2, since I didn't even make it onto the honor roll. Talk about a turn of events. Story 24, my mother had an ectopic pregnancy with her second kid and almost killed her and severely damaged her reproductive organs. She was told she was not going to be able to have any more kids as a result. I was born about 2 years after that. I was never supposed to be born, and life has yet to let me forget that. I can't wait for it to be over. Story 25, got in a small traffic accident. So the police sent me to the nearest hospital, which is within an Air Force complex. Beside me was a sick soldier. We were in the same room, separated only by a curtain. Everything was fine until suddenly an officer came in asking what's the man's illness, then proceeded to hit the man multiple times while shouting how much of the man is. After all the beating, he peered into my side of the room and leave while the man cried, telling the nurse that he's not pretending and are actually sick. Thank God I got picked up by my parents a moment after. Story 26, I used to make custom leather accessories for motorcycles and once worked on a Saturday to catch up on special orders. A couple came in for a tank bra for the wife's bike. Turns out I knew the husband for years, and the new wife was the CPA for a development company looking for an assistant. And that's how I'm not even supposed to be here today. Turned into a much better paying job about 10 minutes away from home with excellent benefits. Story 27, I was visiting a federal prison for a community event, and after it was over, there was time to visit with the inmates. Well, me and a friend were about to leave to go get lunch, but since my coworker was there, I thought to invite her. She was all the way in the back of the room, but before we could make ourselves back to the door, there was a lockdown. We were stuck there, hungry, and without any news for over 2 hours after we got out. I heard in the news that an inmate had escaped. TLDR, I was in a lockdown in a federal prison because I thought to invite my coworker to lunch. Story 28, worked at McDonald's in high school. Manager called me and asked me to work a breakfast shift on Saturday morning. I figured sure, the manager was pretty cool, and I would be out of there in a few hours. They had me taking orders and money at the back drive-through window. Car pulled up, and it was this old lady. We had the strangest conversation I've had at that place. It goes me welcome to blah, blah, blah. I'm sure we all know how it goes, or hello. Did you know you're a virgin? Me not a virgin, but have to be nice, so. I am her, yes, I'm a virgin. You're a virgin. We're all virgins. Me getting curious now. Oh, how do you know all this? Or the people told me. They're all around us, and they know that we're virgins. Me, oh, well, it's good that you told me. Her, they had a meeting, and we're going to the place for the virgins. Me, that's great, but you got to order now. Her, oh, they'll have a tea. She then pulled forward and proceeded to have the exact same conversation with me again at the window. Asked the manager and told her about her new virgin vacation spot as well. It was this old lady, and all the makeup she had on was hot pink. Edit words. Story 29, not my story, but a classmate's. Her friend got a baby duck, so she went to go see it. Her friend lived with drug dealers. Cops raided the place. She was arrested along with the 12 guys that were in the house. They all would have been charged with felonies if the 2 drug dealers hadn't written their names on the bags of drugs. Best part of this story is that the raid happened on 420. I love college towns. She was still charged with a misdemeanor for possession. Story 30, a bit late, but I love telling this story. My boss was mortified when she found out. Sorry in advance if this comes out kind of long. I'm on mobile, some background, I'm 19F, working part-time at a candy store chain while in college. We're not exactly a purveyor of fine exotic sweets, but there's a fancy chocolate store on the other side of the shopping center. My boss called me in one day to help set up a display that she was too short to reach. I'm annoyed already, but I need the cash, so I go in and working up on a stepladder, moving heavy displays when an elderly woman of about 65 years of age walks in. Me from the stepladder, hi. Welcome to It's Sucrose. Let me know if you need help. Old woman pokes me repeatedly, almost knocking me off the ladder, where the fancy brand name truffles we have never sold. Me, I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't carry fancy truffles, but they do have a store just across the bridge. Woman, yes, you do. I bought them here 2 weeks ago from the little Asian girl. Me, friends with Jessie, who works at the fancy chocolate store across the bridge, and is already annoyed with the old racist woman, ma'am, I'm sorry. We've never sold fancy truffles here, but they have a store directly across the bridge. I'd be happy to tell you how to get there. Woman, miss, are you new? Or just stupid, my anxious and non-confrontational, with the biggest customer service smile? Well, I've been here just over a year, but hopefully college will help with the second one. Rude old woman stormed out, and I laughed my off with what is now my favorite work story. Story 31. This just happened yesterday, actually. I work at a cosmetic chain store and usually like my job. It's easy, I love cosmetics, and people are sometimes not fucktwats. I read my schedule wrong and show up for a 4 to 900 shift that is actually next week. My boss says enthusiastically, well, we can use you since you're here. She is too cute and bubbly to deny. I agree to stay. All is well through my shift until 8:32 p.m. when this awful woman comes into our store with her equally as awful children. For those of you that work retail, she is the woman that we have camera screenshots of hanging in the back office that say, "Avoid this woman." She takes her time browsing items that she will either bring to the register and change her mind about, or return a few days later. She is a nuisance in our store and actually causes us to lose out on hundreds of dollars because she sucks. At 8:44, she is screaming for her children in the store, the kind of screaming that has them kicking upon arrival. One of her children, age 6, is literally playing in the street outside the store. The other, age 4, is shitting in not one, but both of our restrooms. At 8:56, I have asked the woman 3 times if she needs help finding anything, seeing as though we close promptly at 9 o'clock p.m., and she stays past store closing at least once a week. At 907, she has kindly exited the store, and one of her children has left a delightful amount of feces in both of our restrooms. The smell is putrid, verging on unbearable. At 9:09, I was asked to clean the feces from both of our restrooms. It is everywhere: the walls, the door handles, the light switches, the sink, the rug, the hand dryers. Surely enough, I clean both restrooms because I know that one day my retail work grind will end. However, I clean these restrooms miserably and with my shirt pulled up over my nose because the smell is actually that disgusting. The next morning, I also worked and found even more feces in the middle of our store. I wish I could say this is the first time her children have pooped all over our store. The first time I cleaned said, "I wasn't even supposed to be here today." The very next day, I called our local child services because this woman is doing a disservice to herself and to her innocent children. Story 32. Last summer, there was this rugby tournament in my hometown. Since I play rugby while at college and my team is participating, I decided to go visit and watch the games. I originally had been unavailable, which is why I wasn't signed up. In ways, it's a sevens tournament, but they have an injured player after the first game and are down to 6 for the next one. So in order to keep playing, they need another player. They see me on the sidelines and asked me to pay. Now remember that my intention was to come and watch some rugby. Well, too bad. Now, I'm borrowing someone's cleats and mouthguard to go play rugby in jeans, despite that though we still played really well. Story 33. Our university put on a drag show. In 5 minutes to doors opening, 2 of the organizers are having trouble getting the sound system to work. They asked me for help because I used to be one of the managers of the student union building. Fine, whatever, I'm halfway through makeup and still wearing sweats and a bra, but okay. I asked them to keep the line of people preoccupied and keep the doors shut a little longer because testing the sound system makes it look like we don't know what we're doing. Well, we don't, but we can keep up appearances. Someone got in. I don't know if he truly knew what a drag show was or just expected burlesque or what. But he taps me on the shoulder. All he can see is bra strap and curly hair and yells, "Wyo, when is this starting?" And I just whirl around and tell him whenever the I am ready. He was not expecting man voice. Got talked into covering an opening shift at the bar restaurant I worked at. I figured Sunday's slow, no issue. I ended up going nuclear on a waitress who kept up. This was after months of her being useless. We had given her chance after chance, and turns out all of the people in the bar heard me. It was like 5 people who all knew me personally, so not that bad, but still not great. Then I got talked into staying an hour later to help do extra prep and lopped off a chunk of my fingernail. Had to throw away all the stuff I'd done because of the blood and couldn't find my fingernail chunk. Story 34. I live in the United States, but used to do work for businesses in Europe and Canada. I was behind on a lot and went into the office on July 4th to catch up. It's a major holiday here, so no one else was around in the whole office part. For some reason, I never found out why the fire alarms all went off. Since it was an office building, the fire department was notified and showed up, saying they needed to do a full sweep of the building. On their way out, the fireman told me that the key to the building wasn't available where it should be, so if I hadn't been there to let them in, they would have had to smash windows to get in. Story 35. This is too long, I'm sorry. Enjoy my suffering. So, I'm in the next province over on a church trip sleep hover course type thing. I drank an entire, big plastic water bottle of water before bed, and I didn't pee that morning when I got up. First mistake, so it gets about 10 a.m., and I really need to pee, but I'm sitting in a seminar room that I snuck into because I really wanted to hear this guy preach. We're just about to hear his talk, but he's running late. I stand up to go to the bathroom just as he walks in, and I think, oh, that's okay, I can wait. But I already need to pee way worse than I've ever needed to pee in my entire life. But I can't be rude because I already snuck into this seminar that I'm not even supposed to be in. So I sit down and listen for 10 minutes, but my bladder hurts so bad that I dead-ass consider peeing on the floor. Because I'm just in that much pain, I have to wait another 35 until the seminar is over plus another 5 for him to finish praying. At this point, I am close to tears. I literally sprint out of the room at the end and find the bathroom and pee for a very long time. We then hang around the mall around for a few hours, putting in time before the next event. I stop at various chairs to cry, hyperventilate, and feel super guilty for making people look at me. But the pain is so bad, I don't know what to do. Eventually, we all go back to the event and listen to the next person speak for a while. But at this point, I'm in so much pain, it's impossible to deal with. I leave and go out into the forum to walk around and try and pull myself together and stop crying. But my friend comes out after me, and I start crying again because at that point it had been like 4 hours of constant pain. I start to hyperventilate and freak out worse this time because I don't know how to make it stop, and ministers 1 and 2 come out to try and help. I drink a little water and explain what happened while hyperventilating, and minister 2 decides she'll drive me around to look for a walk-in clinic. It takes 2 hours. It was not a fun car ride. We finally find a hospital, and I go inside, but between the car door and the hospital door, the pain completely subsides. I had just experienced 6 hours of the worst pain I'd ever felt. UST to arrive there and it be gone. I'm 100% sure that no one will believe me except the people who saw me. So anyway, I get seen, pee in a cup, and they tell me that basically my bladder went from so full to so empty that it went crazy, and my anxiety made it go crazy, and it going crazy made me have anxiety. I'm sure they use more medical terms than that. We learn it's called a bladder spasm. Minister 2 and I sit for another 2 hours in emergency waiting for the results before we decide they don't really matter. Everyone else we came on the trip with is already home, so we begin driving back to our province. TLDR, I held my pee out of guilt from sneaking into a seminar on a church trip and spent 6 hours in pain before finding a hospital. Story 36, worked in a recycling plant. Horrible job. Was supposed to have Saturday off. Phone rang at 5:30 a.m. Figured oh well, and headed in for an half OT. Turns out they need someone to ride the back of a trash truck. How bad can it be, right? Bad. 2 cans and I get sprayed with human. Sprained both ankles in potholes, and to top it off, I get taken back to the other shop, 8 miles further from my house. No one going my direction. Walked home. Story 37, I once got a $500 cash award. I had landed in US for work, and it was my first day in a new office, and my manager had given me the day to set up my laptop and get security clearances and all, which only took me like an hour. I was free, and one of my friends asked if I would like to go see another office that he had to go to since he was helping move the lab equipment. So ended up carrying a couple of cable from his car to the other office and was noticed by the manager who was managing this activity. The next month, he prepared a list of people who helped the lab move in addition to their work, and my name ended up on it. Everyone got $500. Story 38 was a small child in a stroller. Mom was rushing downstairs and was too slow, and the doors on the front carriage closed in her face, and she missed a train. A few minutes later, the train crashed. 43 people died, most in the front couple of carriages. Story 39, I almost died in a North Dakota snowstorm. My shitty car was white, and I was low on gas, so I had to get out and walk to find help for my friend. I ran into a house after a while of seeing visions and wanted to lay down. So exhausted, my friend is literally the only reason I kept going. The people in the house threw me in a tepid bath, and I described a friend's position. I don't remember any of that. The National Guard found her the next day in a track. I should be dead. She saved me, and I saved her. Story 40, I got called into work on my night off and was then robbed at gunpoint. I later found out that the person who was supposed to work that evening did not have the flu like they said, but was instead hung over. I've never let that person forget that a gun was shoved into my face and not theirs because of their addiction to alcohol. It's one of the many reasons I hate drunks.